Happy holidays from the Paradox Gaming Network. It's Archeage 101 with Jalan. And today we're going to be continuing our deep dive into what does the future hold for Archeage. Today we're going to be talking about some upcoming Ancestral skill changes. Before we get into that, I am going to let you guys know that I am still on the march for 3,512 YouTube subscribers before the end of the year. At the beginning of the year, I set a really high goal. Today is 19 December and I only have 3,329. Leaves me about 12 days to get 183. It's about 16 per day. Don't know if we're going to do it. If we do hit it, it sparks off the big giveaway for the year. This will be 5 gift cards. If you check the description below, there's a giveaway going on, another handful of gift cards. This one closes on New Year's Eve. With that out of the way, I do want to talk about just an overview note on the skill changes. These are all going to come from the Archeage Korean website. It's known as Amigo. Now, don't confuse that with the Gamigo, their new publisher. But I want to let you guys know that we're behind Korea on patches, and they're getting ready for their next update. And I'm not finding a development timeline or a patch timeline. We may end up seeing that we don't get 5.1 and then 5.2. We may just end up going straight from 5.0 to 5.2. They've done that a couple of times in the past. You're going to notice, depending on where you go to get your information, that the skill damage isn't going to line up necessarily with what I have. It's because they've done some balancing in the meantime. So it's really going to depend which point in time in the continuum we get this patch. And that's okay. I really just want to talk about the organic changes to the Ancestrals. So I just want to let you guys know, yes, stuff is sort of all over the place. So let's jump into the combat skills first and foremost. Malediction with Mana Bolts is going to be getting a change. First one, it's going to be able to get the Wave Ancestral. And this is going to be the old one that every tick you got in a 1% increase in your movement speed, stacking up to 10. Now the damage on this is going to go to 0 plus 73% of magic attack. Now what you're seeing is today's version of Mana Bolts. I am 99% sure that the base Mana Bolts goes up to 73% magic attack as well. I just can't put my hands on a good citation, a good image to show you. I will show you that the Quake one is going to become AoE. It's going to be a 6-meter AoE based off of your target. But this damage is going to be only 47%. So this is going to be a damage reduction, a loss of damage in exchange for AoE. I want to talk about behind enemy lines. This one's going to stay pretty much equal, except it's going to make just a couple of small tweaks. The stone version, still going to do shaken on all enemies. Going to lose 1 meter on the range. Damage is going to stay the same. But instead of distressing snared targets, it's going to trip snared targets for 3 seconds. If those of you that aren't familiar with Shaken, you don't play Melee, that's what the Shaken debuff does, just so you have that available. The Mist version, same thing, does the Shaken. You gain a meter on the range, so I don't know why they took 1 meter off a stone and put it on Mist. Damage is going to stay the same, but this one, each target hit reduces the cooldown of Battle Rage skills by 2 seconds. Now, I'm 95% sure on that translation. You have to understand that Battle Rage in Korean is called fight, and some of the skills are fight, fighting, or fighting, fighting. And they don't call charge, but all the words together, one translation version said reduces cooldown of charge by 2 seconds, but a different translation said fighting by 2 seconds. So I'm 95% certain it's all Battle Rage skills, but it might be just charge. So just keep that in mind. Don't crucify me later. Talk about God's Whip. God's Whip fans, you're going to be getting the old version of God's Whip back if you go into Lightning at a little bit reduced damage cost. Not too much, just a little bit reduced damage cost. But you are going to be able to insert instant spells in between consecutive weaves. So in short, you're getting God's Whip back to the way God's Whip was before it was nerfed. Now, for those of you that have never been really good at using God's Whip, you're actually going to get an Ancestral that might entice you a little bit. And you're going to get a much higher damage rate on it. The difference is that it's going to drop a stationary AoE at a target location that's going to last for 8 seconds that will hit up to 20 targets. So The wave version is going to be kind of good if you're setting up board control traps. A lot higher damage, and then you don't have to worry about weaving it in there. Okay, jumping right into Endless Arrows. Archers, I want you to notice one thing right off the bat. You are taking a 2% nerf on your base Endless Arrows. Your damage is going to be 50% versus 52 of your ranged attack. And your slowed damage is going to be dropping to 26. This is in exchange for Flame, which is going to get a huge base damage increase. Your damage is going to go up to 180% of your ranged attack. But it's also going to cost you almost 5 times as much mana. Now, the description of the drawback is a little bit difficult to translate, and I think I got it right. For those of you that followed my 4.5 translations earlier in the year, English is a subject-verb-object language. Korean is a subject-object-verb language. So it gets a little bit difficult sometimes to do a pure translation. So what I believe they're saying is the attack rate is lowered. And I think that means the cycle speed for your arrows is slower. We're going to have to see how that plays out on the test server when we finally get it. So just realize you're getting a huge damage increase, but you might see your cycle rate go down a little bit. Your stone Ancestral, it's going to stack a debuff to 50. And after 50, that target is tripped. And this is shared among archers. The problem is it drops your damage all the way to 30% of ranged attack. So the archers are going to have to get together, figure out if they're going to think this one is worth it. For my healers out there, you guys are going to be happy. We're getting a pretty big correction to Holy Bolt. If you guys remember Holy Bolt when it first came out, it was a massively overpowered skill that they nerfed, and now they're finally going to swing the pendulum back a little bit and give us back a little something. So first and foremost, you see that 624 plus 102 on the left-hand side. That is actually going to be changing to 811 plus 156. So straight damage buff. Now, you are going to find that some more combos have been added. Specifically, you notice that when you're under prayer, you're going to be doing more damage to mobs. When you're under divine response, you're going to be doing 150% damage to mobs. That is massive for healers that want to farm. I personally am a healer, but I have to run a Blade Dancer build in order to farm efficiently. This might actually make it so I can just stay in my healer build all the time while I'm farming. So you get base damage improved. Your ranged is shortened by 5 meters, and you notice that cursed damage is down to only 20%. So huge raw damage increase. Little bit of change on the combo. For Flame, you're going to get a much lower cast time. The starting cast time on the Flame Ancestral is 0.9 seconds. You are going to have a lower damage, but you're going to have a 30-meter range. The damage is going to go down to 275 plus 55% healing power, but you're going to be throwing these out a whole lot faster. It's basically designed to weave in prayer, divine response, to be stacking that 30% and then 150% damage to mobs. So, personally, great thing for healers if they're trying to do solo farming and they don't want to build a different set. There is a missed version of the Ancestral. It is going to be at that higher damage rate. Interesting enough, it's usable on allies to turn the allies' next attack damage into magic damage. And again, in that verbiage, in that grammatical description, it says the ability to heal permanently in a stable position. I'm unsure of what that means. I do know that if I throw it on my ally and a nearby enemy has cursed on them, the Holy Bolt will bounce to them. Now, I do not have any idea where the Holy Bolt goes after that. If I had Mirror's Light on me, you, and the mob, would I throw this on you? You do magic damage on your next attack. The Holy Bolt bounces to the monster, does the damage, and returns life to us both. I don't know if it's going to work that way. This is another one. Once it's on the test server, I'll get in there and test it. Okay, to finish up combat skills with Bladefall, I want you to see that there is a huge base damage reduction inbound. As it is today, you're at 901 plus 475. What you're going to be at in the future is 677 plus 363. So that's a pretty big reduction on the damage percentage, plus a huge reduction in the base damage to begin with. This is in exchange because on the Flame Ancestral, you're going to be able to throw the combo at a reduction by 3 and 5. You're going to be throwing the 3 waves of blades version down with only 2 malice charges, and you're going to be throwing the big one down with the impale for only 5. Likewise, you're going to have the lightning ancestral. It's going to reduce your damage again pretty significantly, so this is going to be a much lower attack, but the activation delay is going to be reduced to 0.5 seconds. So it's going to be an instant and act instantly as well. To talk about the support skills, these aren't going to come in animated. These are going to just be on the screen straight up. Mirror's Warp, the Flame version, is giving you basically the old passive for free at a half distance. So you're going to be able to go left or right 8 meters an unlimited number of times for 5 seconds. The Stone version, it's still going to let you go left or right 15 meters. But if you're under Resurgence when you teleport, it's going to sleep all the targets you go through. Now, just so you know, before you get really excited on that one, you have to basically go dead center through the person. I tried this on a healer build to pass Resurgence while I teleported through people, and man, if you're off by just a little bit, it does not pass the Resurgence. Maybe it'll work a little bit better with the sleep based on offensive hitboxes, but we'll have to see how that lines up. Again, I'll test this on the test server when we get it. Lasso. Squall version is going to let you use it twice before it goes on cooldown. The targets that you use it on become staggered. There is staggered for the people who don't know what the actual staggered effect is. The life version, usable on an ally, and it's going to remove an enemy's target lock. So this is going to be a good way to save somebody that's too deep. You can pull them back, and then everyone's going to lose their target lock for a second on them. Pretty good for situational application. Double Time got 2 great ancestrals in my opinion. Increase movement speed by 130% for 2 seconds, but the buff refreshes every time you take damage. That's pretty big. Or increases movement speed by 80% for 20 seconds. And I didn't notice a cooldown change on that, so you're basically going to have 80% movement speed buff 20 out of every 28 seconds. Shadowstep, the missed one is going to be a little controversial in that if you have the missed one, it's going to teleport you to a random enemy or ally, even if they're stealthed. I'm not sure how people are going to react to that one. I'd love to hear comments below about this particular ancestral. I don't think people want to be able to find their enemies if they're stealthed. The lightning one, going to be able to use Shadowstep 3 times before it goes on cooldown. First one's range of 15, then 12, then 6. I'm interested to see how people are going to use this. I'm also interested to hear from Shadowstep users if you're just going to stay with the base one. I don't really use Shadowstep too often. It's there for a point because it is mobility, but it's not my go-to. Freerunner. I'm going to tell you right now, I do not like what I potentially see with Quake. I see 2 big problems with the Quake Ancestral. Let's talk about it first, then I'll tell you what the 2 big problems are. It's going to give the Freerunner buff to the caster and all allies within a radius. Allies' Freerunner stats are 2 times less, so allies are only going to have 15% movement speed and 21 agility. Now, the 2 problems I see with this, I'm a healer. I do not want you to pop Freerunner on me, because as soon as you pop Freerunner on me, I can't heal myself with Antithesis. So I am not looking forward to that if, while I'm under your Freerunner buff, my Antithesis gets locked out. I'm also not under this if, for some reason, while I'm under your Freerunner, I can heal myself with Antithesis, but it counts that I have no cooldown. So this is my number 1 to test on the test server when we get this patch. Flame, it grants the buff for 20 seconds. The movement speed's only 30%, so it's 1/3 less. The agility's 42, so it's 1/3 less. But the buff refreshes every time the caster kills an enemy. If this works while farming mobs, I'm going to be incredibly happy. This is just going to be, again, another straight movement speed. So between double time and flame, people are going to be having like 100%, 110% movement speed while farming. Talk about teleport. Mist is going to allow you to teleport to a selected spot within 12 meters instead of just straight forward for 15. Really, really powerful change to teleport. Lightning is only going to send you forward 10 meters, but it's going to have a 42% chance to reset the cooldown. So this is basically giving you the old passive for free. And that is it, guys. If you want to talk more about stuff, shoot me an email or get me on Discord. Discord's easier. I'm on it all day. I am Jalon #0001. I just recently changed that so I can have Nitro. And then I did a poll and people wanted me to be 01. I am doing 2 streams per week, and since it is Wednesday the 19th, today is one of them. I do split my time, my shows between Ashes of Creation and Archeage. Right now I have 6 of 10 patrons at Patreon. If I hit 10 patrons, I'm going to be adding a 3rd show, and I will leave it up to my patrons if it's going to be another variety show, a split show, or if it's going to be Archeage 101. I have a feeling that my Monday night show is going to soon become first live, and second that it'll be Archeage 101 permanently on Monday nights, which I'm totally okay with because I give the people what they want. Anyway, guys, this is my 2nd time cutting this video. I'm going to get this one cut so it's ready for tonight's Twitch, and I will see you then. I will see you on the show. You guys take care. Hey, where are you going? You're not done yet. See these videos? This video's up here to watch. You got to go over here. Hit the chibi. Subscribe to the channel. Check out the webpage. And I'll see you guys on Twitch.